Hey guys, welcome back to Honey in the Rock. I'm Sophie and this is Cameron.
Hey guys.
So Cameron is one of my dear friends. We worked camp together and then I just was like, I like this girl. So she is like, if I could describe her to you, I'll tell stories that'll make our personalities make sense. They go well together. Like our personalities like fit together perfectly. Um, she's assertive and she gets things done, but she does it in a loving way because she loves people well. Like she does it because she loves, and it's really sweet. And she takes care of her people. She's like Mama Bear, and so she takes care of her people well. And so it's really sweet to know her. It was really sweet to serve with her, and it's just sweet to be her friend and know her. So thanks for coming on the podcast.
I'm so excited.
Okay, tell us where you're from.
I am from outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina, so about 15 minutes from Fort Bragg.
Look at you go.
Mhm.
Siblings, anything like that?
I have a stepsister and somebody who was raised as my brother, but not by blood.
That's kind of fun. People who are raised as our siblings, it's like the benefits of having a sibling. But then it's like, okay, when they're annoying, they just go back to their house.
Literally.
Sweet. Okay. And then you grew up doing dance, did lots of dance, and now you're in school to do what?
Teach elementary. Well, my major is elementary education, but the goal is to teach high school business and marketing.
Perfect. I love it. So if to understand how me and Cameron's personalities fit together perfectly, at camp on Saturdays we would have reset, and you basically just have to reset the entire camp. We were in the office. We took our job very seriously. We had lots of pride in our office abilities,
Yes.
and we would have like people that we could like help us. So we basically were just like telling them what to do, and we would switch weeks being good cop, bad cop, and like we were never mean, but you're just like do this, do this, do this. And then we would have to like stand up for the other person of like, I can't, I gotta check out. Like I can't keep telling these people what to do, how to make name tags. And we would get the job done. But it was just we were like, okay, today I'm gonna be the good guy. I'm just gonna be, good job, y'all are doing great. And Cameron will tell them what to do. And then the next week I'll be like, I already do this. Now do nope, you didn't cut the schedule small enough. Come on, do work. But it was really fun. And then in that we just got to spend lots of time together talking and listening to music, and we had the same music taste, so we could just listen to all the country music we wanted, and it was perfect. So I'm excited for you guys to hear from Cameron more because she it really is like gentle and kind, but she loves hard, and since she loves hard, she stands up for her people, which is a really sweet quality to have. So, do you want to share your testimony?
So, I grew up in the church. My mom is our youth leader, so I actually grew up going to camp and just seeing the different generations go through camp, which was really sweet. And then after Bible school one year, I was like, I think I should do this. So I accepted Jesus into my heart and then started walking through that but didn't really understand it, I guess. And then in 6th grade, I was diagnosed. Well, I had really bad pain, like shooting down my leg, and so found out that I had a tumor wrapped around my S1 nerve root, and
Oh,
so yeah, so after a lot of different like God lined everything up as to like I got an MRI exactly when I needed to and everything like that. And then come to find out I had a tumor and it was cancerous, did all of chemo radiation, um, was in Philly for 8 weeks for radiation, and then that whole just experience really just showed, the grace and mercy that God has for us because, like, we could have a really negative attitude about that, but it was cool just to see the little things that God lined up through each and every one of those things. And so it was really sweet to see that. So that kind of solidified my like relationship with Jesus and made it really my own. And not just this thing that I got to see these people around me living out, but now that it's my personal relationship with him. So walked through that. That was, um it was really sweet to see all of that stuff, and then get back to school, and it's COVID. Yeah.
Just a good time.
So, yeah, um, so then walk through that and just through high school and trying to figure out, like most people that age of like who I am and how to be, um, a person who shows Jesus in everything that they do while also being, a leader with their peers. So I grew up really, really shy, like to the point where, like they put me in therapy and was like, "Let's teach you how to talk to people." Um, and Sophie kn knowing me now is like, "Really?"
Yeah, wrong.
But through, like, that treatment and stuff, I had to, like, learn how to talk to people because if people see you in a wheelchair or, like, in the hospital, they're gonna wanna talk to you. So I had to talk to people. So through that, I kinda, like, learned how to talk to people, and then one of my teachers actually at school, um, kinda took me under her wing and was like, "Let's teach you how to, really be a godly friend to your peers and just show people that even that you don't agree with, of how to love them well." So, I did DECA through that, and we did business and marketing events, and then that led me to, um, the public speaking and, like, the business aspect of, like, how I am now. But growing up and going through camp and then having those leadership opportunities in high school kinda solidified, "Yeah, I wanna work camp, and this is something that I really want to do." And then, was so very anxious to get to camp, and then we got to camp, and I met some actually fantastic people who will be my friends for a lifetime, including you, Sophie, and, um, just I grew so much just within those 8 weeks that we were there as a person and as a friend and as a follower, and that was just really sweet to see, so, just now trying to figure out who I can be within my church of, um, now that I have the experiences that I have had through camp and just solidified my, relationship and just learning how to walk through that every day, so,
Gosh, that's really sweet. And I think, well, what first stands out is like, okay, you say his grace and his mercy, but then it's what's so interesting. It was like in the midst of such a hard time. Like, it wasn't like, okay, yeah, like here's Jesus, his grace and mercy, and I got the dream job and I have the dream boyfriend, and everything is perfect in my family. Okay, yay, great. It was like, no, you had a tumor wrapped around your leg and you're having to do chemo as a young girl. Okay, that's where I met Jesus, his grace and mercy. And I think that's shows to your character, but also even more to who Jesus is like he literally does turn all things for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And when we let him use those hard parts of our story and look for him in the confusing and like the okay, well, why did this have to happen? And why? But then it was like in his grace and mercy that all your MRI lined up perfectly and you caught it at a good stage and that you were able to go where you needed to go get it treated all at the right time. Like it's like, oh, there's his grace and mercy in the midst of this trial. Um, and like I didn't have that same health problem growing up, but I had lots of ear surgeries and I had 10 surgeries to repair a hole in my ear. And like as a young girl, it was like oh, well, all I know is that I have to wear earplugs when I swim in a pool because if water gets in my ear, it goes into my actual body because there's a hole. Or I just missed a week of school because I had to be in surgery, and I was sad that I like missed out with my friends. Like that's really to the extent I understood. But then now looking back, being like, why did 9 surgeries fail? And like that didn't make sense. Like financially, I'm sure that was like such a hard thing on my parents, but then also like well, it worked eventually, so why did it have to take the 10th time to work? But then now getting to look back on it, it's like I genuinely see good character of the Lord in that. I'm like, "Oh, how gracious was that of him to, allow me to walk through that and then learn what it looked like to, be taken care of." And how sweet was that? Because then I saw what a real church looked like as they surrounded my family and provided, like, small needs. Or, like, learning the power of prayer and learning what does it look like to pray at a young age of, like, "Oh, I need to be on my knees praying for this healing." And so I think that's interesting, like, our similar stories of, like, okay, well, here's a health concern. And somehow the Lord is so good that he lets us see the good things in him in the hard, which then, as you said, like, it grew your relationship with him, and it solidified the fact of, like, "This is what I believe, and this is what I want." And then now you get to go, like, walk in that when different trials come. It's like, "Okay, remember how I had a tumor on my leg when I was young? And he was still gracious to me, and he was so merciful to me. Like, if he did it then, he'll do it again, trusting that in faith, and so I think that's really sweet. And then just how, like, sometimes we gotta get pulled out of our comfort zone, and if we stay in the comfortable, we don't grow, and I think that's such a testament because, like, that's not how you are now, and, like, I was I literally talked in a baby voice for years and years in elementary school, like, when I was way too old to do that because I was so embarrassed and shy. And now I probably could talk to a wall. And it's similar, like, same for years, like, you were so shy they sent you to therapy, and now, like, that's not a problem we have. Um, and I think that's just interesting to see, like, sometimes we gotta get things pulled out of us, and it's just like, who do I need to surround myself with? Because you surrounded yourself with mentors and family and people that were like, "Okay, come on, we got this," and, like, saw gifts in you and then walked with you to pull out those gifts, and I think that's really kind and, like, the teacher that you had to be like, "Hey, I see this in Cameron. She might not see it yet, but now I'm gonna walk alongside of her in this." And I think that's something, like, people have done for me, but then also it's, like, reflection, like, who can I do that for? Who is younger than me that in my church or at my school that I see, okay, like, they're not there yet, but I see this in them. Let me walk alongside them in this as, like, a mentor almost because people did that for me, and I think that's just, like, you saying that is now making me think, like, I probably should sit down and look and pray over who I need to pull along because that's a big part of your story, but then I'm like, I think that's a big part of like, we all needed somebody to see something in us and then walk alongside of us as they're like, "Hey, I see this gift in you. Now come on." And it's like, "How am I gonna do that?" And then it's like, "Hey, here it is." Um, so I think that's really sweet. And then the last thing that stood out to me, is something you like, "How can I love people that I don't agree with?" And I think maybe right now, just in, like, the political culture, not that I know much about it, um, but just, like, in our society, it's very, like, one or the other. And it's like, well, okay, well, I know what side I stand on, but how can I love people even when I disagree? And I go to a school where almost everyone does not agree with me. Like it like it's not the same. It's probably like 70-30, and I'm a part of the 30. And um instead of letting that be the most important thing, how can I love you despite our disagreements on how our political climate should be or how our country should be run or on who we voted for or how, healthcare should be taken care of. Like, because, like, at the end of the day, that's not actually what matters. And I'm not worshiping a president, I'm worshiping the savior that's on the throne. And so, um, I think that's been something like I've been wrestling with of like, how can I love people despite our disagreements? Because the most important thing that needs to be dealt with is our salvation. And the most important thing here is knowing Jesus. So I need to put my pride aside and my opinions aside to tell them about Jesus and love them like Jesus would love them. Because Jesus probably put people up to the table, or I know he pulled people up to the table that disagreed with him. on how a country should run or what king should be on the like throne in their time. Um, and so what does that kind of look like for you now, walking that out?
Well, we had I was like our president of our club, so I had to like really work with and learn how to give tasks like kind of like you talked about for reset and then also be their peer whenever we're in classes together. So I've had to finally realize that like I sometimes it's not shoving Jesus down like their throat and it's just loving them well. So like I may not me and a girl that was an officer with me on our officer team, she had very different um perspective on how things um should be and just but we both understood and respected each other enough to put aside those things and to
Mhm,
work together and to love each other because we would talk about anything and everything but there's some things that that you can kind of just put aside
mhm,
and get something done but even through like classmates and things like that at school even if it's not like me going up to them and praying over them today, you don't have to have permission to pray over them from them. You can pray to like I can pray
right,
for them and they might not ever know it. So it could just be me like just staying firm in what I do believe and them
mhm,
knowing what I believe, but we're
yep,
also not gonna argue it because um we talked about like at camp like the first step and like the foundation of sharing our faith and like owning our faith is to make a relationship with those people. So if I don't have a relationship with them first, it's a lot harder for me to open up to them and for them to be willing to accept what I have to say.
yeah,
Um, so trying to know them for who they are and not for their opinions, like you said, or their beliefs or um, that, but knowing them for who they are and who they can be and who, God has created them to be, just even if they don't, see that yet, and really just, loving them and having that relationship and then trying to, just show them just through my actions and how I love them, and then we can have the conversation, if and when because God will create that opportunity, for you to have a conversation through that, and even if that's anybody from like a 5-year-old to an elderly person, but it's a lot easier if we have a relationship with them. And I finally had to like come to terms with that of like I need to put myself aside, like you said, and really just have a relationship and love them well, because they are created in His image and they were created on purpose and for a purpose. And me really realizing that about them can help me love them better.
gosh, that's so good. Um, it comes down to like, okay, we are in the same boat here. We're sinners, that are in need of a savior. And what does it look like for me to love you in that way? That's really good. And I think that really is like a sweet reminder of just like, okay, let me just love people. You're right. Like sometimes it doesn't look like, hey, have you heard of what Jesus did for you on the cross? And sometimes that conversation will come up and that's great. And sometimes it looks like loving them well. And then it's like, okay, when their heart's softened towards it's like, why was Cameron so kind to me? Like, why did Cameron love me well? Okay, let's dive in. Oh, she loves Jesus. And then it's like, I can love you because I first received love. Um, and I think we have to understand what the, like, greatest sacrifice of love that Jesus did for us to then go be able to love other people. Um, I mean, even, like, vice versa, like, I felt like this summer I had lots of conversations with high schoolers about, like, non-Christians dating Christians, and, like, obviously there's so many different situations, and I'm not, like, speaking like a blanket statement, but, like, I was like, overarching, it's not a great idea. Because if you're a Christian and you're trying to pursue Jesus and this kid you're dating is not, then he is loving you straight out of his flesh because he hasn't first received and accepted this great act of love that Jesus did for him. And if he can't accept this act, this perfect act of love that Jesus did for him, then he's not going to accept any sort of love that you're trying to give him. And not even like in a sexual way, because we're holding sex for marriage. Even just out of like complimenting him and telling him that you love him and doing kind things for him, it's never going to be enough because he hasn't accepted this perfect act of love. And until he accepts that love, then he's going to be able to see other people can love him. And so, like, even in that, or in friendships, of like, other people are not going to be able to love me well if they don't love Jesus. And I'm not going to love people well if I'm not accepting the love of Jesus first. And then it's like, okay, maybe instead of trying to be like, you're going to hell if you don't do this, instead it's, hey, I love you. Like, I know this is hard and I know we disagree on this, but I still love you because of who Jesus created you. I'm not condoning your actions, but I'm going to love you in the midst of it because that's what people have done for me and that's what Jesus did for me. And so I think that's really sweet, and that's a really good reminder of like, we got to put our pride aside. And it's not always about being right about things of this world. It's about loving people the way Jesus loved us first. So that's really sweet. Thanks for sharing your story. Just a testament of the Lord's grace and mercy in your life. Even when things weren't perfect, and even when hardships come in health or in family, or just in confusing times of like, why did this happen the way it happened? Or I think it's just sweet that you see the Lord's mercy in that, and then people pulled you along with them because they saw the gifts in you. Thanks for coming on.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
It was so fun. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.